Who is John Allegro? Well, John Allegro was a scholar. He wrote The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. He wrote loads of books on the subject of the Dead Sea Scrolls. He was asked by the church to decipher the Dead Sea Scrolls back in 1947. He was a lecturer of languages, and what he discovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls was historical fact about the original peoples that created the biblical texts. So the inspiration for the biblical texts came out of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, I want to say to you, right, this is what he found, and then you understand it and it's all hunky-dory, but you can't just do that, because your conditioned mind has got 2,000 years of conditioning to try and just forget for 5 minutes, yeah? Just let go. Because the facts were the Sumerian people that wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls were nature worshippers, believing in nature and discovering plants and euphogens, mushrooms, psychedelics, psilocybins, and they lived a certain way. This was before the Jewish religion, and it was before the Christian religion. So John Allegro, as a scholar of languages, ancient Aramaic and Hebrew and Greek, he knew what he was looking at, and what he found, what he discovered, people just thought was a joke. They didn't take it seriously. They didn't understand what he was saying, because they had 2,000 years of conditioning in their head that, you know, Jesus existed as a person, as a man, and that God even existed as some sort of entity that you could talk to and all that. Now, he didn't, the information he discovered doesn't say that God doesn't exist, and it doesn't say Jesus doesn't exist. But what it says is what God exists as is not what we perceive God to be today, and what Jesus existed as was not a man. His discoveries show us how the Sumerians saw things. But Jesus, the name Jesus, is taken from a Greek word. So this suggests then that the Greeks were involved in the writings of the Bible. So where did they get the name Jesus and the story from? Well, they actually got the name from Joshua, because Joshua is the Hebrew version and Jesus is the Greek name version. So this shows us then that the story of Jesus was not the story of Jesus that Jesus isn't even the name. It's Joshua, isn't it? But it's not just Joshua either, there are other names. There's many names, even Moses, and all the names of the apostles, the disciples of Jesus. These were all names for the sacred magic mushroom, because they held the mushroom in their community as sacred. This is why it's absolutely no point in holding on to the conditioning that you've been given in the past about Jesus the man, because there are no facts that there ever was a man like Jesus. It's stories telling us all about the wonders of the sacred magic mushroom. From the birth of Jesus, the life of Jesus, and the death of Jesus, and even the resurrection. Everything has a meaning pertaining to the mushroom, how it spores, how it returns, even after you've picked it, the shape of the mushroom. So I'm not trying to say Jesus never existed, because far from it. I'm more convinced than ever that Jesus existed, but it's about knowing who or what Jesus actually was. Jesus was not a man. Jesus was a mushroom. And the stories about the mushroom, Jesus, it's the same thing. The stories about Jesus are inspired by people that have been partaking mushrooms and like going, yeah man, I'm reaching God, you know, and God's reaching me, and this is what's happening. Now I'm not poo-pooing that, because that is a reality in their world, and then they've written it down, and people have deciphered it, and it's all got turned around to, you know, a complete total non-understanding of what's really going on. And so now the Bible is being preached to us in a completely, probably the opposite to what it actually means in the first place. I'm not just trying to say, oh, hey, Jesus didn't exist. I'm just saying, know Jesus, know what Jesus was. And if you can, forget all that conditioning that you've been brought up with, because it is just conditioning that's just going to stop you from seeing the truth and gaining the knowledge. Okay, if you say you believe that the blood of Christ is magic mushroom tea, what do you base that on? You start saying, well, it says in the Bible, manna, the manna from heaven, it's the seeing bread. It says in the Bible, you know, partake of my flesh and drink of my blood. It's got to be the blood of Christ. Well, that's fine. That's understandable. So, where's Christ then? Who's this Christ geezer that you're saying, this Jesus bloke, yeah, that existed? Where is he? Never mind all that. You need a scholar. You need someone that's going to say what existed and try and prove what that was. Well, John Allegro's already done it. He's deciphered the Dead Sea Scrolls. He's proved that Jesus never existed as a man, that those stories were stories about the magic mushroom. Do you see where I'm coming from here? I'm saying that you've been conditioned, like we all have, with the facts that aren't actually the facts. They're the facts about the magic mushroom. And you're saying it yourself, and at the same time you can't let go of the conditioning and belief that Jesus was actually a man. When a scholar has proven already that Jesus wasn't a man, Jesus was a magic mushroom. And that, you know, Jesus was just like one of the last names for the magic mushroom, and the Greeks and the Romans were involved with the Hebrews to create the Bible.